All right, I think we are now live. So welcome back, everybody.
Hey, how's it going?
What is up?
All right, so we're doing things just a little bit different this time, as usual. I mean, when do we ever stay the same from podcast to podcast?
Freaking never.
I don't. Yeah, never.
Yeah, but we
Yeah.
do have ideas in mind. So this is the next one. What we decided to do was we decided to make an overlay with the four of us. So right now you are listening to the Gabs, and we also today we have.
JB in the building.
Yep, you can see him.
Hello, my name is Hector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am the Jalen.
All right, Jalen's new with us. So
Yeah.
Jalen, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
You're the
I'm
new
excited
one.
because
Fresh
I've
meat.
Never done a podcast.
Okay, don't
Is
be
this your
creepy.
first podcast?
I'm the handsome one in the bottom right. So
The
It's soup
handsome
smug.
one.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, so before we go on just and talk about today's discussion, which is the topic of the day, right? Jalen, we have to know, and this is what we ask every single person the first time they come onto this show, which is, who is your favorite hero?
Dude, that's
It
hard
doesn't have to be
because-
superhero. It's a hero.
Well,
No
you can even go to the top
superpowers,
three because we didn't tell you this, right? Because we
three.
always put the people on the spot.
Okay. God.
You can
man,
even give us
that's
the top three.
hard. All right. Obviously, Spider-Man's in there.
Yes!
He's always in there. 'Cause,
Hey,
I
There better be a Flash in there.
Which Spider-Man though?
Peter Parker.
Okay,
Okay.
the OG. Okay, I mean, how can you do
Original.
that?
I mean, of course.
If there's not a Flash in there, I'm gonna be
Yeah,
disappointed
Flash,
in you.
Yeah, Flash
Okay.
definitely.
Barry Allen, Wally West, Bart
Which
Allen.
one? There's
Barry
like
Allen.
7.
I mean,
Okay.
I know Wally
CW.
West is like faster and all, but Barry Allen's just like
Charismatic.
the main
There's
guy.
actually, hold on, real quick. That's a term that we're gonna have to talk about later
What?
for a future podcast because people are like, oh, Wally West is faster.
He-
That's
he
not
was-
exactly true. He went faster in a shorter amount of time, but Barry Allen went faster for a longer period of time.
Oh, so like endurance versus power.
versus power.
So Wally would win a race. But
He would
Barry
win
was
a 100-meter
the best
dash,
speedster.
but
Right.
the Flash would be like,
You
you know,
catch up to him.
I got you,
There,
Holmes.
I got you.
Yeah, I got you, Holmes.
All right, so we got DC,
Flash,
we got Marvel.
Spider-Man. Some people say I favorite DC more, but
I do.
I like
I mean,
Marvel.
it's-
I
better.
definitely
It's all
do.
up to your opinion.
But
It's all up to you.
yeah, Batman's in there too.
All right,
Okay.
now you know this a lot of times too because we have we gave you a Superman mug. You know we have Batman over here. You don't always have to choose a DC or Marvel on the show. And when we say because we are kind of expanding now,
Oh,
and
yeah.
our listeners we're going to expand as well. We're trying to go pop culture, so this is going to include everything. So if you were to ask me right now, who are my top three? I would have to include Future Trunks from Dragon Ball Super. in
Yes.
there. I have to include that.
Yep. So awesome.
Yep.
Wait.
Trunks.
Z or Super?
Super.
Okay, yeah, I was just about to ask. I was like, from Z, he's kind of like...
Well, in Z, he's a teenager, and he's still
Yeah,
growing
he's-
up. And
he's still
learning.
growing
He
up,
finds
and-
his father figure.
Yep.
He sees what he's supposed to be, and then in Super, what happens?
He's a wimp.
I don't know
He
because I haven't caught up.
Oh, that's right. We're not gonna tell you, but let's just say he takes the mantle of the King of Saiyans.
Wait. How far?
I told you, I'm already up to... I'm
Okay,
just
so
up
you're
to Champa.
Champa, but
Champa, that's the tournament of fighters. That's
So
the
no, like
extra-
I'm talking about when he first shows up. Like
Oh,
he already
I got you,
already
I
got
got
the
you.
thing
Like,
like
what are you doing
the
here?
mysterious like oh yeah, no, I'm up to the part when he visits Beerus'.
You mean the Fat Beerus, right?
I'm talking about Fat Beerus. I'm talking about his brother.
His twin
When he
brother.
when he visits I'm talking about when he visits Beerus like at his
Yeah.
and they were
planet.
like,
I
and they
got you.
talk about the food and all that other good stuff. Okay.
I haven't even gotten to that. I'm just at the part when he
Where they-
goes to his
okay.
planet. I need to catch up.
It
There's
gets
like
insane.
70 episodes I need to catch up
It's
on.
like a full
Definitely.
arc.
There
Yeah.
are parts where you
Yeah,
can kind of
yeah.
skip, but don't skip any of the Future Trunks. What they call it, the Future Trunks. I think it's technically the Black Goku saga.
It is. It's the Goku Black Saga.
But I've also heard that it's been called the Future Trunks saga. So
No, I used to watch
Future
Dragon Ball
Trunks,
Super.
but Trunks has been like one of my favorite characters in Z anyway. He wasn't like, oh, I definitely go for him because he was still developing in a sense. But because I was like, all right, he's cool. But when he went Ultra Saiyan, which is the literal
freaking
term,
Broly?
the literal term for the Brolic type,
you mean like the 1.5 Saiyan?
that's
Wait, when it gets
no,
perfect
that's not Ultra. That's Super. That's what
That's
Vegeta
Super
did.
Vegeta.
That was super. That's what.
So
that's
what's
what.
your
And
Ultra?
that's called an Ascended Saiyan. That's not
Well, the
called
Ascended
Super.
Saiyan is
Ascended
level 2.
Saiyan.
No,
Ascended Saiyan is the in between of
There's different
Super Saiyan
levels-
2.
there's different grades of
There's
Super
points to each one, and Vegeta only reached Ascended. He never reached Ultra like Trunks did. Because
Gotcha. Well,
Trunks
he did, but
Trunks
he didn't use it.
Trunks
Yeah.
skipped the whole I'm Super. He went straight to like
Freaking Ascended.
ultra, like that's the Brolic. But again, there's like points to it, and some of them take away but add, and then they take, and then others like that one ultra is sheerly for
raw
like
power. It can't be beat.
raw power.
but speed is what you sacrifice.
Speed is what you sacrifice, but
Now
then
this leads us, by the way, right into what we were talking about today. which is what makes a good story. What makes for a good story. And let's remember, we are going to bring in DC and Marvel as well, but we can also bring in like a Rick and Morty, or we can bring in a Dragon Ball Super. I would love to at least at some point mention the Watchmen.
Yes,
Of course,
definitely.
of course.
So I'll let you guys. Let's take it from Jalen first, because he's kind of the new featured guest on it,
Okay.
right? Which we're hoping to have you,
Yeah, sure.
more often. So, what would be one of your more favorite stories?
Jeez, okay. Well, first, what makes a great story is it has to be like interesting to the audience, like with emotional climax and like all that stuff. I learned English, but like
Symbolism, metaphors, what you're looking for?
yeah, basically.
But what if it doesn't have any symbolism or metaphors?
It's got to have an innuendo in there somewhere.
So humor.
Humor.
Humor
Yeah,
is
Humor
witty
is humor
dialogue.
brings everyone in. Even dry humor, any type of humor really can bring anybody in.
Do you think that that's kind of where like most movies are streamlining towards today? You have to have at least some kind of humorous moment.
like nowadays
Yeah.
after like
It's
Iron Man? After Iron Man, that movie came out. That movie was purely like it was a
hilarious.
comedy movie, but it was
Basically
also
Guardians of the
action.
Galaxy, that's like
Guardians of the
Yes.
Galaxy was a
Avengers
comedy
was
movie.
pretty
People
fun.
are going
Especially
more for
Guardians.
comedy because these days usually people they find something interesting to be laughable. Like Rick and Morty is probably one of the most famous animated TV shows right now because it's so random, it's funny, it draws people in.
Catches you off guard.
Catches you off guard.
It's that type of
and that's
comedy where
my
you're not
type of
expecting
humor.
it.
That is my type of humor. If anybody knows me out there that watches this, I love random, unexpected humor. It's the best thing in
Mine's
the
more
world to me.
so Family Guy, American Dad type humor.
That's-
Even
that's
though it's
funny
like
too.
very
Like
offensive.
slapstick humor, slapstick comedy. Like
Dry humor, you guys into?
I'm not a dry humor type dude.
A little bit. I can laugh.
I can laugh at that,
makes
but
sense,
Dry humor,
honestly,
what type of joke?
I'll only
Very
laugh.
sarcastic, where they say things to make it awkward.
Yeah.
Have you ever
Like-
seen The Office? Okay,
That show.
Curb Your Enthusiasm is another one. Seinfeld. You ever watch Seinfeld?
Yeah.
I have.
There,
Hey,
there
what are you
are quite a
doing?
few moments in Seinfeld which are very dry humor, which they'll say things to make it awkward.
Oh,
but
yeah.
from our point of view, it's hilarious.
Because we know the full.
Like,
Like,
right.
say
We know what
somebody
they're
was,
talking
like,
about.
Talking to Bruce Wayne, and they were like, "Oh, my parents never show up to a parent-teacher conference." It's like, "Yeah, mine either."
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I
see,
get
it's
you.
like something like that.
And you
That's
laugh
very
because
dark.
You know that his parents. Were
Dark humor is also me.
Dark humor
I'm a
can be
horrible
hilarious.
person. I'm a horrible person. So like something like bad dark humor, that's something that'll kill me.
But I draw
I
the
can't,
line somewhere.
because that's also random and unexpected. Sometimes dark humor leans into that unexpected type humor because they'll say something. I'm not going to be too vulgar, but there are ones that are like, it's like, oh hey, so a husband is on his deathbed and he asks his wife, "Do you love me?" "Yeah," she says, and then he says, "Well, tell me if all of my kids are mine. Tell me if all 3 of my kids are mine." And she's like, "Of course." So he dies, and she says, "Thank God he didn't ask about the 4th one." Something like that. It's like,
oh my goodness.
you know? Yeah. So comedy is one thing that'll, draw people in more than anything.
Okay,
I
so
think.
I want to ask you. So for let's say from the comedy point of view, what are some good stories that you just come right to your head? Just good stories.
A good story,
that
like
maybe,
book.
It could be
comedy?
a book. It could be a show.
Anything that has a beginning, middle, end.
Right, we talk about Rick and Morty. I think a lot of people love Rick and Morty.
A
We
lot
could
of
have
people.
podcasts
Hilarious.
just on Rick
On
and Morty.
Rick and Morty.
But
We
we're
can
talking
talk about
what
the
makes a good
conspiracies.
story, right? And so far we're saying humors. Now, not every show has humor in it, but from that perspective, which
Well,
would you
there's
say?
Arrow.
you think Arrow has?
There's a lot
Decent
of dry humor in
Yes.
Arrow. A
Yeah.
whole lot.
I don't think it's dry humor as much as sarcasm.
Felicity is
Oh,
their
but-
main.
She plays off that feminine
Like,
Yeah,
like
she really is
figure
pretty
like,
good. Yeah.
hard.
Hardcore.
Oh,
The Flash.
of
That
course.
has a lot of.
No, listen. The Flash, the CW Flash is what we're talking about here.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
You guys know what I'm talking about. That show is like 90% drama.
It really
It is.
5%
It's
joke.
90%
Because it's
drama.
mostly that dramatic music playing like. Like, that's what you mainly hear in the entire episode.
No, it's. I love you, Iris. Iris,
Oh, baby.
Iris.
Oh, Barry.
your
Iris.
eyes. And you're like,
Iris.
Jesus, just Barry, you're already in love with her. I'm gonna lose her. I'm okay. Like the last
don't wanna
season,
hurt you.
every single episode, you spent like 10 minutes, like regretting her death, which never even happened.
But it did
Spoilers
happen.
Much. Jeez. Like, I mean,
But
it's
I'm
just-
saying, until it happened, it had actually.
What do
never
you
happened.
love most in this world? Tell me. What do you love most?
What do I love most?
Yes, in this world. Just tell me that.
French fries.
Okay, so
I was gonna say
imagine
that.
going to the
Yeah, my
future.
brother.
Imagine
Found it.
going 3 weeks into the future and figuring out fries are never to be manufactured again. They're never to be made. They're all destroyed. That like thrown in the trash away.
I'm gonna enjoy as many
Nobody
French fries. I'm gonna gain 300
can
pounds.
ever eat a French fry again.
10 years losing those 300 pounds and then inventing.
Yeah,
a way
and what did
to
Barry do?
Atomize.
Barry did that. He married Iris first of all. That's like
Out
the
of
one
fear.
thing you should. But still, you would eat the
Not
French fries
out
out
love,
of.
sir.
He did it for both
Well,
reasons.
technically love, but he was fearful most.
He wanted to draw her close so he could protect
So
her.
does a good story cause debate?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Because if you're
Conspiracy.
not talking about it, then what's the point of it?
You know, they leave you thinking. They're like another thing that some good things can pull off. Not a lot of things can pull this off, but cliffhangers.
Yeah.
Cliffhangers.
Oh, yeah,
Like not a lot of people can pull this off because sometimes they leave it off and it doesn't make sense. And it's like,
what?
why?
You know what I think is distracting a lot of movies from being great stories these days? Is CGI.
Yes.
I think that the CGI has infected the movie industry, and a lot of people are writing it. Like, it's almost like a high-tier character in a video game.
Especially
Where
like Transformers. Kind of.
Yeah.
Transformers is one. The other one that came to mind was Star Wars.
Uh-huh.
That episode 1, 2, and you can say 3 actually was a little different because it actually had decent writing and had a decent plot, and it had drama and the symbolism and the metaphors of the skies turning red and dark. But the first 2 movies,
Sucked.
George Lucas was awful. Did you know that in the episode 4, 5, and 6, when Harrison Ford was brought on by George Lucas, that Harrison, we all know the famous scene where he's like, was it Leia's like, I love you.
And he's like, I know.
Did you know that George Lucas wrote for him to say, I love you back? And then Harrison
It was
Ford.
Empire Strikes Back. It was like a different director or something. He was like, I don't think he would say that. I feel
He's
like
a
he would say,
smuggler. He's a
Right.
smart. He's a smart ass
And
smuggler.
Harrison Ford wouldn't say it.
No.
And he stood up to him and said, no, I'm not going to do it. And it was historically, he did that throughout those movies, and it made him better. And in 1 and
Could you,
2,
imagine him saying
nobody stood up to George Lucas. And even George Lucas said when he made those movies that if you need CGI to make your movie good, then it's not a good movie. And what did he do in 1 and 2?
He
Freaking
made it out of CGI.
And the whole thing, you can't tell me that the first movie was probably one of the worst movies you've ever seen.
Guess
in
what
your
though?
life.
Hold on. I think one of the worst things that could have happened in that entire movie, the one thing that could have saved them, is killing off Darth Maul that quickly.
Oh, yeah, you only got like 10 minutes, 15 minutes of screen time with him, really.
And great 10 minutes. Wish that he had more
He
though.
was a great villain,
Yeah.
which goes into a great story because he had a rise, he had a fall, he had internal conflict, right? He had training, and it didn't even kill him though. By the way,
Guys,
They
yeah,
didn't
I know.
kill him.
If you guys
took
have
like
seen
chicken
any
wing
of the
legs.
TV shows, any of the animated TV shows like the Clone Wars, he doesn't actually die. He falls into a trash shaft, and that takes him to a trash planet, like literally a planet made out of scrap metal and stuff that people throw
Right,
away.
and let's remember that the lightsaber,
get
what's
cut
that
in
word?
half, severed.
Charred, cauterized him.
Cauterized him, and so he didn't bleed out. So he lived through that. He was just sitting there like,
That's gotta suck,
There's
bro.
that cliffhanger that you're talking about.
Also-
Why didn't they show us the cliffhanger?
Also, he kind of went insane
I would too.
in the show. He like literally went insane, and I thought that this was a cool thing that these people added in though, that the horns actually do grow. They
didn't know
don't
that.
stay. They don't stay that way forever. When in the show, his brother, not actually his brother, he was hypnotized
would
by the
curl.
witches to think that he was his
They
brother.
do, right? They
Yeah,
go
I feel like
upwards
it-
and
They
around.
go upwards. They go out and then upwards.
That would be
But
disgusting.
Put some candles on it, light it up. I don't know. I'm thinking Happy Birthday. Days.
so, so yeah, they actually grow like actual teeth, like their teeth. They grow out if you don't carve them and stuff. Or
oh, you
something.
know he shaves them. Mm-hmm. Every day he gets
That's
up
gotta
and
be
he
insane,
rubs his
bro.
face and he looks at it in the mirror and he's like, "Oh no, they're getting too
too big.
long."
Yeah, and then so yeah,
Just in that voice.
he
too.
finds him and he's just like, "Hey, I'll heal your insanity." He heals his insanity. He's like, "Oh, thanks," and then he goes. But it's cliffhanger. This is pertaining to this. I'm actually kind of glad at the same time that they did kill off Darth Maul. For one reason and one reason only. They were able to build off of one of the best stories that they could have had in Star Wars.
What are you talking about, Anakin?
I'm talking about Darth Maul.
Where this is, like,
Oh, so you think
Like,
that
and
there's a
it
chance
it didn't.
that they're gonna
There
have a
there
Darth
is
Maul
a
solo
huge
movie?
chance that they're gonna have a Darth Maul solo movie. First of all, fans they're
Well,
gonna be
they're coming out with
harkening
a Han Solo movie.
that
And
too.
Obi-Wan, I think.
And Obi-Wan.
Boba
Yeah,
Fett.
yeah.
And a
that was
Boba Fett.
recently confirmed.
And a Boba Fett.
Fett.
Bubba Fett. I hate people who say Bubba.
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 Hey,
Bubba.
Bubba.
Hey, Bubba. But yeah, I think that was a good idea to do that, but at the same time, just at least hinted at the end of the movie, like show him crawling away from the site that he was falling in, or something.
Could have
Anything could have been better than what they did with that.
I imagine like you know how when they have vehicles they're usually like floating. I imagine like a floating like dump truck, like the chute just like with trash coming out like scrap metal. Then you see him fall in.
That's
there.
kind of what happened.
I can
Or
imagine
just like
that.
his hand.
Yeah,
Like, you see
his
his
hand
hand
coming
like
up.
moving.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, something like that. And
Did you know that most movies, and I don't, you probably already know this, but most movies today follow the hero's journey. They use that as their
Yeah.
basic
I learned
plot
that
line.
in language arts.
Right. Well, and what's the opening thing to you have two worlds. You have the real world and you have the other world, right? Like the adventure world. You have
Then
the
you have
call
to have
adventure.
the call to adventure, and then
Then you have the meeting with the mentor. You get the talisman. There has to be at some point where the hero has
Gets the
some kind of
power.
dramatic event that happens to him, which causes him to make the right decision.
and
'cause he
that
has
for
to
Luke was
refuse
his
the
hand getting
call.
cut off and finding out that it was his father.
Yeah, so he was refusing the call right there. Right, so there's this formula that these stories keep following, and I feel like because
That's
it's been
great.
so overused. I mean, we can go to any one of these Avengers, DC movies, or even movie in general, Star Wars, or
Yeah, what came to mind when you were saying that was Doctor Strange. Was
the call was the actual call. Find it, and what happened.
Permanent
somewhere else.
nerve damage in his hands.
Right, and then he goes to the other world.
What was
Right.
that? What was that?
Literally and
I
figuratively.
think it's
Such
called
the
the
ass.
other world.
No,
No.
it was
Something. I forgot. Totally forgot.
right. What was the name of that place?
Name of what?
Well, somebody needs to look it up. The place where he ended up traveling to, where the
With the old
it wasn't
lady.
Shangri-La. Shangri-La was from
Sorry.
Call of Duty,
I
bro.
wanted to say shit and bother, but that reminds me of like.
It was,
something like that. Look it up.
hold on.
But I mean, the entire hero's journey is so easily seen in that one. There's a rising action, there's a falling action. Every story has to have one of these, right?
Yeah.
But then let's talk about like Rick and Morty, right? Like, do they follow the hero's journey?
I don't think so.
Maybe not every episode.
I mean,
So when it comes to good stories, you have to kind of think about: is it going to be a 2-hour story? Is it going to be a 1,000-page novel, or is it going to be a series?
I feel like sometimes what makes a good story is taking something old and like doing something new with it. Like there are like two examples I picked. Like you would think like in the MCU like they would use Thor to bring in like introduce something new. Like that would be like the cosmic side of it, but they really use like Guardians of the Galaxy to do that, and it made like a whole new for like Phase 3 I think, or Phase 4, and that like introduced Infinity War.
Right.
And like another example is when they take Batman or The Dark Knight Returns. They like completely like reestablished the character. Like he went from like this campy, like Adam West, like carrying like bombs and stuff and like shark repellent to like this guy that like breaks your limbs, like not for fun, but just because he's angry and like
Right.
yeah,
Instead of
driving you through
it
windows.
goes from like a Batman who's doing it for the superhero side to a Batman who's trying to save
Vengeance,
the city.
yeah.
And
vengeance.
oh yeah,
Kurt,
very
like, yeah.
fearful and dark.
you will fear me. I am the knight. I am Batman.
Like that's really what I like when they just like do something completely different and you see the character in like a different light. Like you see Tony Stark go from like this egotistical like jerk and like player to like the guy that like makes Ultron to like say because he feel he's done like they caused a bunch of
Yeah, like they need to take responsibility for their actions, which led to
you like really see that
Ultron.
throughout all the movies.
I like
That also leads to a decent plot line, a decent storyline, right? You have that conflict.
Yeah.
Did you guys feel that anybody came out victorious in the end of Civil War? Who would be the winner at the end?
what's
Well, they
his
were, like,
name?
split,
What's
so-
his face? The guy.
The one that tore him apart?
Yeah, because
Baron
he
Zemo.
even said it. I
Right?
forget his name. Baron Zemo, I think his name.
Yes, Zemo.
He won because he literally said.
That was so many down to cost him. She sucks.
So he was the winner, even
Yeah,
though at
I
the
think
end
so.
he went to jail and everything.
But he still like his mission wasn't tangible. It didn't have to be tangible. It was to divide them, and he succeeded. You see
Yes,
Captain
he did.
America,
Yes, he
you know,
did.
on one side, and Iron Man, on the other. They were divided, and that was his main, plan all along.
So what you're saying is there's no heroes that won that. Don't, okay, so this
Iron Man kind of won. They got like what they needed.
No, he didn't.
Well, I found out where, in general where he went. Not the exact name of the place he went, but he went to Tibet, somewhere in Tibet.
But it was like a.
I can't remember.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get
to
it.
But I want to go back to Civil War because I think what makes Civil War such a great story, and I want to actually talk about the Killing Joke too, because that has a lot of flack and there's a lot of controversy with that. So real quick, just with Civil War, and this is leading right to Killing Joke, and I want to hear exactly what you guys got. But with Civil War, with the conflict, I could feel compassion for both Captain America and Tony Stark. What you said, right? Tony Stark was very
he was egotistical. He was like
narcissistic. Yeah.
Jerk.
And he was very sorry for everything that he had done, right? And because of those reasons, he made his decisions, but he did it out of fear and out of hate for himself and what he's done.
Visions he had.
Right? And then you have Captain America on the other side who's doing it because he thinks that he's going to stand up for what he believes in.
Right.
Even if it's very selfish. He's very narcissistic too. You cannot say that Captain America is not selfish. You cannot say that.
Very true.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like that both of them are wrong, but both of them are right at the same time.
Yeah,
they're both justified. They're both. That's why I honestly don't like when people are like, this one's right and this one's wrong. That
Basically,
there's
in the
facts.
movie, you want, like, the right to
There's
choose,
facts.
Like,
There's
what is bad and
you
good.
have a right. You have a right to
Perspective.
choose. It's all based on perspective. They show, and I like how in the movie they show you both sides of the story.
And you both feel like it's almost like a divorce.
They
we
show
don't
you,
want to see them
they
divorce.
show you
Yeah,
both
it's really
sides of the
different
story.
from Avengers,
They show you both sides of the story in one conversation.
Even though it was a Captain America.
And one conversation
but
in
that
a
took
group.
so many movies to develop.
Yeah.
So
It
does
took so
that
many
take
comics
away
to
from it
develop.
being a
They
good
needed more
story?
characters.
'Cause
No.
maybe like 6 years to
it
make
took
this. 7
hundreds
years?
and hundreds of comics to make this story, to come up with the idea and fully form this idea. So it only took 6 movies to make this happen.
To make it a visual.
To make it a visual thing, because this is such a big event that happens in the comics that you can't just, we got this, we can do this. You got to build up. First of all, you got to build up a love for the actors who play these characters, which they did very well.
Absolutely, you have a lot of character development, a much-needed facet for a good story.
Character
You know
development.
that the worst movies are the ones where the characters are very static.
Very undeveloped.
Michael Bay.
Michael
Yes.
Bay.
He wants explosions.
Yeah, explosion.
Lens flares, explosions.
Let's put up Optimus Prime against a mercenary, and he loses, and then Mark Wahlberg comes out of nowhere and beats him. Hey,
Gabs, you're
Coming
so
to you
salty.
this winter.
I will forever be salty. 'Cause
I understand
if
you're
Optimus
salty,
Prime
though.
can't win, Mark Wahlberg isn't winning, no
makes
matter
no
how
sense.
good looking he is.
Oh my god. What was I saying? The movies that they made did develop these characters, and speaking about character development, I feel like if anybody out there has ever watched Avatar: The Last Airbender,
Yes.
Zuko is literally the most developed character, and it's not about him.
I haven't even watched but maybe 30 episodes of Avatar,
Gabs, why?
and I am extremely aware of that because he's the only character I actually pay attention to outside the show just to see how he develops. And
He develops so well.
He might be my favorite character, and I don't even watch the show.
And another thing, I love what these people have done with that show, because first of all, they didn't just end it. They ended it, and then after that, they made Legend of Korra, following the cycle, because there's a cycle to what avatars become, what element avatars become. It's like, it's air, water, earth,
fire.
and then fire, and then it repeats that cycle
I
over
got
hundreds
you.
of years. So he was the air nomad, and now a water tribe member became an avatar. And what avatars can do is they enter not the spirit world, but they enter a spirit state, avatar state, but not violently.
Once again, however, following the hero's journey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Once again, that's the formula.
She also, this show follows that so well. It's overused,
does.
and you know it does.
It's a child's
but
show.
this is not a child's
yeah.
show.
Okay, well,
You'd
I
be
take it
surprised.
back.
The Legend
Oh
of
my
Korra has so many
I almost got
innuendos.
destroyed.
You almost got destroyed, dude.
The
The Legend of yeah, it actually is. Well, it just ended, but the Legend of Korra series is not that childish. There are some innuendos in there. There's a lot of innuendos, but the thing that avatars that I really love that they added in this is that they can talk to past avatars. by entering the spirit state, and they project the
Talking to the mentors.
mentors, and there's
avatars.
hundreds of them that they can talk to. They can choose from any avatar that they want, and she chose to speak to Aang, the avatar that we first see. And it's amazing how the character development for everything comes in, and then Zuko is still alive in this show, and he is Fire
He's the Fire
Lord. I think
the
he's
Fire
still no. I think it's President now since they changed everything up.
Yeah,
Everything
they got,
changed.
quote unquote civilized.
But
They got
extreme
civilized.
character development.
The,
Oh, yeah.
the
But you
character
go
dev-
from extremes, you hate him, and then the moment that
Yeah,
extreme
he's the bad
hate
guy.
is it turned into extreme compassion.
he's the
'Cause
bad
you
guy,
figure
you
it
know.
out.
What
Figure
from
out
what you see.
what his drive.
Yeah,
what
he's like
his
first
motive
you
is.
see him as some dude that's just chasing the good guy, you know, bad guy, good guy, took cops and robbers, stuff like that.
So you know how to incite emotion. You have
Yes.
to connect it to. So your
That's more
body
relatable.
has hormones, right? You know things like serotonin, oxytocin,
Giggity.
and some of these shows. yeah, giggity, giggity,
Giggity
indeed.
goo. All right.
There's actually four main hormones that control your mood swings. And let's say I'm telling you a story, and I'm pausing like that. I'm actually increasing a certain hormone in your body, which actually creates a deeper meaning to you because you've now attached an emotion to it. And some of these shows do that well, which is I feel what.
Dude,
That
this
does
show,
really well.
this show did because not only that, but honestly, another thing that makes a good story or show or TV show or movie, is music.
Yes.
Music.
I love that soundtrack. in
The
Avatar.
the music in the music in Avatar is not only. Yeah, some people may argue, oh, it's stereotypical, and it's like, oh, they're in China, so you put Chinese music. Listen to me though. They've incorporated like every style of music that they could possibly add into this music, but made it OG Chinese. Like you know the weird, I don't know what they're called, but the weird Chinese drop shaped guitars that the Chinese used.
I know what you're talking about.
Like they actually have like
the instruments
in-
in the show.
in the show, right? The whole it's kind of like the Flash. In the Flash, you know how Iris, Iris, I love you and all that. He kind of goes through that with this girl named Katara, who's a
Yeah.
waterbender.
We know guitar.
We all know
Alright.
Katara.
You
all
you
that.
talking about music? I have
Music.
a name here. This is the best guy for music in the industry.
Oh,
He
God.
does. I'm not gonna tell you what he does because
Oh,
I would
God.
immediately give it away. But when you start talking about music, this is the guy for music for everything. You want it to be sad, and you want it to hurt. He's got the music for you. You want it to be like da da da. You know, you're going on like an adventure. Like I'm gonna go search for some hidden treasure. I want this guy. He has it all. Do we know who I'm talking about?
No, not even close.
Yeah,
What did you
Hans Zimmer, baby.
Oh yeah.
That is the dude of dudes. You know he was the guy that did the Dragon Ball Z music,
Yes.
right? For
That's why his name is
it gets-
familiar.
the Caribbean,
Another thing,
Inception.
this is a kind of a personal thing. I love like you know how in the movie like there's a huge fight between the main character and the main villain, and they're fighting, they fight it out, and then
clash.
the huge clash, and then the main character gets knocked down, and he's down, he's looking like he's gonna lose, and then that motivational music starts coming up, and you get that tingle down your spine, like oh something's about to
Dragon
happen.
Ball Z.
Hans Zimmer
Yeah,
for,
next time on
Batman v
Dragon Ball
Superman,
Z.
That really stuck in like the opening credits where you see Bruce like running like through
Through the city.
not through the city, but like through the grave, like I don't want to say cemetery, and then like you see his parents get shot. Like we've seen that
that
a lot
one, yeah.
of we've seen that a lot of times, but like the music like added way more to it. Like,
It added
that's what
so
really-
much more.
I know the movie wasn't like,
But
good, it
if
really-
if anybody's seen the Avatar, just back to that. At the final season finale, there's 4 episodes. It takes 4 episodes for this to happen. The main bad guy in this movie is Fire Lord, Fire Lord Ozai, and he's like, I'm gonna take over the entire world and make it Fire Nation only.
basically a
There's gonna be no other
scientist
benders. It's just gonna be fire. Also, there's gonna be a comet that makes us 10 times stronger, and now I can take out an entire forest with one fire bend. Stuff like that.
Right,
And-
extreme development.
And another thing, is during the fight, he gets knocked down. Because he's a pacifist. All air nomads are pacifists. I'm getting to this. When he's down and down for the count, the Fire Lord's bashing him down. He's in a rock and he's just down. And then he gets hit real bad, and it hits a scar that he had. And then he goes, "All right, Avatar state taking you down." And that music brings everyone up. I was with my family watching this. My dad didn't even watch the show. He didn't, he was reading a book, building up, and he was like, oh, what's this? And then this guy comes. The air nomads tattoo you, and when you get into the avatar, go bright blue, and he gets, and he flies, and that's when the music's going.
Oh,
And then that, for the final kill, he goes this.
You know what? One of the mates of the hero,
near-death experience.
something like that. It's called the
resurrection. So that's what happened.
God. Why is it red?
It says
Fear.
it's dropping.
Rage.
It's dropping. Keep going. We're gonna.
He comes. The funny. The music was already like making your heart go faster and faster, and then right when he stops, all that music goes. It all silences out, and you hear a flute. You just hear one singular note, just
All right. We've talked. We got
music.
Because we've been talking about Avatar for 10 minutes now. That's
Music.
a lot longer than. Yeah.
Sum it up.
Oh,
Music.
No, podcast.
No, we're good. We're good. It's just Avatar.
Avatar.
Sucks.
Yes.
Lies.
You almost died. You almost died.
But yeah, I really love the music, even in like tender moments.
So what we've spoken about so
music
far
is-
Well,
is
I
I like watching scenes in movies just for music sometimes.
Yeah.
But we're talking about what makes a good story. And scenes don't make a story alone.
no,
I
not
think
scenes.
music.
Uh,
The sound.
Oh,
the
you can
colors
have
of it.
very good scenes, like in Batman vs Superman. There are some amazing
Oh,
scenes,
And there's just
awful scenes, and I don't think it was a good story. I think it was good parts. There was not a great story.
Could've been.
Which I got a question for you guys.
Okay.
Another question, because I got to keep this thing rolling. Did you like the story in the movie theaters for The Killing Joke? Has anybody here not seen The Killing Joke yet?
I've seen it.
I've seen it,
I've
but not
seen
like
it.
in the
Okay,
I've
so
seen it
everybody's
3
seen it.
times. It was-
All right, so you've seen
I've seen it a lot.
3 times. I actually have it too, and I've watched it over and over just to make sure that what I've come to my conclusion.
Can I be honest with you?
I'm talking about the movie, right?
I'm talking about
animated
the
movie,
animated
animated
movie, not talking about the book, because we all know
Yeah.
the book was one of the greatest books ever.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Let me be honest here. The movie and the story, everything behind that was great. I think it followed
really
the
just
comic
need to
like
make it
really,
longer.
really well.
Well, the second half did.
Okay, the second half. But it kind of lost me near when the Joker at the end, when the Joker and Batman were outside laughing,
And they make a
and
joke.
it
That's
just pans out. It just goes away. The camera just
That's
goes away, and
how
you hear
it
laughing.
ended in the comics.
That's how it ended in the comic.
You
I
don't-
know.
You don't know if he kills.
You don't
the
know if he
Joker.
kills him. You don't know what he
That's
does.
that cliffhanger
Because he
aspect
stopped,
And-
into
Joker
play.
stops laughing.
So
And
what did you
here's-
think? Did you like it?
I got lost there.
I mean, the whole Killing Joke part with the like the actual storyline, it was good. But like, I guess they need to make it longer, so they need you to care more about that girl, like Barbara Gordon. So they like
Right,
gave
she
you a
became
reason.
Oracle.
Yeah, she becomes Oracle.
So they
like-
gave us an origin story with
Yeah, they
Oracle.
gave
Did
you-
you like that?
I mean,
face
like
says
when
no.
yeah, I didn't like it. It's just like something like shoved in to make the movie like longer. They needed like more storytelling, I guess.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, because like if you just did the comic version,
Like,
it would have
yeah,
been like
stick to
how
the
long?
comic.
40 minutes.
Probably. I see what you're saying, but like I also like I actually kind of liked it because it's good already, and then you adding in this other aspect of it, and it's not in a way that's overcrowded as opposed to Batman v Superman. They had a whole bunch of stuff, or like Amazing Spider-Man 2, when you like crowding a whole bunch of characters and stuff
Yeah.
into one. I feel like they had Batgirl. She played a pivotal role, but it wasn't like the main focus of the Killing Joke. I like that, and then they had towards the end where he told the actual Killing Joke. They had it.
Right, it was a good transfer
It was a good
to the
transfer.
Killing Joke.
Exactly.
So I feel like the people that who directed and produced that movie, what they were trying to do was they were trying to show how Batman still falls into the same weaknesses in situations that even Batgirl falls into. Because what did he tell her? He's like, you're gonna come up across something one day, and it's gonna bite you. It's gonna get you. It's gonna ruin you, right? And he's trying to protect her from it. And you make these choices. I have to make these for you because you're not making the right choices. And think about it, that's what was happening in that first half.
Oh yeah.
And guess what had happened to her?
She almost killed him.
Shot.
There was a panel in the comics, the Killing Joke comic. I don't know that the Joker had that he was gonna use on Batman to kill him. It was like something poisonous. And Batman hit it out of his hand. Like, he had it out of his hand. He got it away from him, obviously. And he hit him over the window. But the funny thing is, he hit him over the window that he threw the poisonous dart at. And people are like, they were saying Batman didn't kill him. He just touched the, he got, stabbed by that. I think. I don't know. Check if that's it. Because
I'm looking it up right now to see where it is that he has something.
Because I think that he gets, he has something to stab him with. Oh, that was a good scene in the movie.
I love the
scene in the movie when he has Gordon naked.
Favorite.
Yeah, that right there.
That was his piece on his shirt.
The piece on his shirt.
Right. And then he does have a gun. Then that he shoots at him and goes bam. And he's like, oh, how funny is that? Because he click click click. That's what it goes.
Oh, and then it actually fires.
Classic,
you know that.
yeah.
In the animated series, he makes it. Then he presses the trigger again, and
he freaking blocks it.
The parallelism between the first half and the second half of the movie, what they ultimately made that a good story, was vulnerable, and it shows a vulnerable Batman that we hadn't. He's talking to Mike, and he tries to use it to bash him, but yeah. To him because he's going through the ride at some point.
The ride.
Mike.
I like the character development. See what made him the way he is, and this.
But Alan Moore never once. Oh no.
Are we dead?
I think we're dead.
Nutty.
When that happened, and the issue when that happened.
It says I have two
things connected.
All right, well we're dealing with some issues then. It appears that might.
It's back to green.
It might be time.
All right.
Because it's going in and out.
All right.
We never really got to talk about Watchmen though.
Oh,
great story, real quick. It's realistic, more realistic than most. Stark.
Yeah, Watchmen is really dark and
Live
realistic.
action adaptation or the comics?
Well, the comics and live adaptation, actually, I must say, like 90 to 95% similar.
So it's good parallelism.
Right. The really only thing that was different was in the end when the ultimate villain was revealed. The motive was still the same, but how he did it was different. Because like in the comic book, what had happened was he had cloned all these animals to make like this one. We teleported them, they would die, and they would so that way he could unite humanity against. Had sent a nuke out us first, so it united the story. That
and it's
gotta find a way to get. All right, get out of here.
Guys, it's been Jabe.
It's not recording. What we need to do is we need to have somebody keep doing this now. Like my hotspot says it's fine.